Hello everyone. I wanted to come on here before it got too hot and continue working on this. So I didn't get very far yesterday. It's just too darn hot where I am. But I'm going to see what I can get done today. So I'm going to start off painting the bibs with a color called Williamsburg Blue. I'm unsure about what color I want to make the shirt. I'm kind of thinking maybe celery green, which is a pretty light green, but I'm unsure. So I don't know. But we'll start painting these bibs and we'll see how far I can get today. I do have some buttons to glue on, so I'm just going to go ahead and paint over top of that. I wanted to come back on later on yesterday, but it just is so humid. I mean, and today is not going to be much better, I don't think. It's just barely 9 o'clock and it's just steamy. When is this heat gonna end? I'm actually ready for fall. Now today is the last day of my sale. It's 25% off of everything in my Etsy shop. You don't need a coupon code and you don't have to purchase a minimum amount of items to receive that discount. So you're gonna want to take advantage of it because I will not be running another sale till probably around the holidays. I don't run sales all that often, but when I do, I try and give a larger discount. Boy, the fireworks that were being shut off last night. Holy smokes. I just want to get this paint down low enough that when you put the pumpkin on, it covers it, which that looks like it's pretty good. And make sure it's up high enough that when I put this part on, it covers, and it does. So I'm pretty good to go. Hi Renee, how are ya? I hope you had a nice 4th. Hey, I was gonna ask you, I was gonna actually message Linda. I haven't seen Kenny on Facebook. It's like he doesn't have an account anymore or something. Has Linda talked to him at all? Is he okay? I'm good, Renee. Just trying to survive this heat. Yeah. A lot of fireworks being shot off where I live. Holy smokes. Yeah, I just haven't seen Kenny, and I don't know how to get in touch with him, so I'm kind of concerned. Okay, well, he's still okay. All right. Just like I said, I haven't seen him, and it's like he got rid of his Facebook, which a lot of people do that. You know, it's just, I wanted to make sure he's okay. So I'm going to use spiced pumpkin for the pumpkin, and I got to be kind of careful. Because there are some areas that by the hands. So I'll use a bigger brush as much as I can. Oh my gosh, this heat. Holy smokes. Renee, is that you? Or are you still here? Because I seen where you left. She must be having internet problems. And I am going to try and do a little shading. Around these hands, but it's going to be a little tough. Oh, okay. Well, next time you talk to him, I don't know if you're on here still, see if I can have his number. Yeah, next time you talk to him, Renee, see if I can have his number. I see where Doug's coming up in August. Are you guys going to be doing anything special? Okay, now you can't hear me? And I froze. Facebook has been funny. Let me see if I have any volume. Facebook is Nope, I have volume. I know you've had problems in the past hearing me. And how's the great grandbabies doing? So with orange, it usually takes a couple coats. I'm putting it on a little bit thicker than I normally do. I don't like to put my paint on really thick because I don't like to see the brush lines. I try and keep an even coat. So that's why, you know, I combine paint and water when I'm painting, because it helps smooth out the paint, especially on really hot days and high humidity like I've got going on now. Because just for me, and this is just my opinion only, I don't like to see brush strokes. I feel that it takes away from the look. And then also too, you know, if you're putting another layer of paint on top of a layer that's not dry all the way, that can cause sand brush strokes as well. Let that dry pretty good, and then I'll start doing some highlighting. Okay, I'm going to use winter blue to highlight these bibs. And I think I'm going to have, you know, problems floating today again because it's just so darn hot. And I am missing my mark, but that's okay. I'll go back and touch it up. I'm going to do some shading under there anyways. And I'm just blending my paint the best that I can and trying to keep as much water in my brush as I can. That's a little bit darker than what I wanted, so I hope that fades. We will see. Because usually when you float highlighting and shading, it does have a tendency to fade because you are mixing it with water. And it doesn't take very much paint either. And how much shading and highlighting you do has to be a personal preference. I want to get a little bit wider float up top, but I don't want it too bright. I mean, I'm putting this much paint on. I don't know if you can see that. But I mean, and honestly, that's a little bit too much. But it doesn't take a whole lot. And I'm not going to really worry about those areas that I kind of went over, because I'm going to be doing some shading. So it'll cover over that. And that's probably good enough. So I'm going to use some Payne's Gray to do some shading. And I know that I want to shade underneath where this ruffle hits. And I'm gonna need to, I want to do a little bit of shading. I think what I'll do is kind of shade like right in there. So I'm going to use Payne's Gray. Another color I like to use is Deep Midnight Blue as well. Payne's Gray is the recommended shading color by DecoArt. And I'm just gonna hopefully float a little color. And I'm trying to be really careful because I am going to use a lighter color, I think, for the shirt. So I don't really want to get paint in that area. I might have to dry brush because I've got a pretty distinct stopping and starting point. I don't really want that. That ain't bad. Alright, good enough. So I'm going to use some tangerine to try and highlight this pumpkin. I know this always takes a couple coats. And that's about all the highlighting I want done on that. At least in that center area. See if I can get the outside edge a little bit. I'm gonna have to do a little dry brushing because I didn't get it where I need it to be. I think I want a little darker right in there. All right. I'm gonna take some burnt orange, and I might even go back with some burnt sienna. Do a little shading around this pumpkin. I just have to kind of be careful. I don't want it too wide because then it'll be going on to the straw of his hands. But I definitely want that separation, and I might have to go back and highlight just a little bit more. And I'm going to see what I can do around the straw. It's not going to be as bold as the other one, but at least I'll get a little bit of shadow. And I'll have to go back and touch it up a little bit. And I'm kind of just like patting. I have hardly any paint on my brush. And I'm just kind of like patting, going around these areas just to get some color. And just to create a shadow. And I know I do want some around where that leaf is going to be. Just really trying to create a shadow. I think I'll use a wider brush. Alright. We'll put some brown on this pumpkin. And then I need to figure out the color of this shirt. And I need to paint Hey, Lori. You too. Hopefully you're not working today. I think I'm gonna use some cocoa. I wanted a lighter brown, the stem. And she probably is working. This is probably going to take a couple coats because of the orange. All right, let's do this celery green and see what it's all about. It's a very light color, a very country looking color. So I think it'll be a good combination. And will look nice against this blue. And even though I have leaves on the pumpkin, it's not going to clash with that because I'm going to do that in the Hauser greens. I really wanted to do this shirt orange, but with it having a pumpkin, it would be too much orange. And I thought about antique white, which is more of a beige. But I felt, I'm thinking I'm going to do the background in antique white. And I felt that then it would get lost. But this is really a pretty color. Okay, definitely need to go down further than that. I'll do some shading and highlighting on here as well. And that'll help make this green pop a little bit more. Something you could do is you could take a script liner brush and put some lines on the shirt to make it look checkered, plaid. You could take a stencil or a stylus and take and put dots on it to make it a polka dotted shirt. So many different types of possibilities. But honestly, this blue and green look good together. They complement one another. And my water needs emptied. Something terrible. do like this color of green a lot. And normally, I would have painted the shirt first. And the reason being is it's behind the bibs, and I like to work my way forward. The only reason why I did not paint it first is I was unsure of what color I really wanted to paint this shirt. So I kind of saved it for last. But I just like to always start at the furthest point as far as what it looks like when you're looking at it, and work my way forward. I've just always taken that approach. Okay. And I like to try and get the paint off my surface as I go, instead of letting it dry. I don't hardly ever get paint along my sides. It's pretty rare. The only time I seem to get paint on my sides is when I'm using a brush. When I use a sponge, and I need to decide what color I want. my squares. But I'm gonna shade and highlight first. Now the highlighting color for this is Sunny Day, which is a yellow. And I'm not seeing that. That's not something I'm going to go with. What I'm thinking is a bleach sand or some warm white and just barely putting it on. That is my thought. I think I'm going to use yellow ochre. On one of them. And then maybe almondine. Go with a beige. That's what I'm thinking. Okay. All right, I'm gonna let this dry really, really good. And then I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna do a little highlighting and shading on this shirt, but this is kind of where we're at. He's almost done and I'm loving him. And I still have to paint the rope parts, and I'm gonna paint that probably a light buttermilk, just so it pops off of there. But I'm loving him. I'm absolutely loving him. And he's gonna make an adorable sign. So I really love him. Something about the orange and blue just are really good colors. They go great together. So I am loving him. So I'm going to empty my water and I will be back shortly. Hopefully you folks stick around. Okay. So the color I'm thinking to highlight the shirt with is bleach sand. It has a little bit of yellow cast to it. So I'm gonna do that. It's kind of on the same lines of the light buttermilk. But I'm just not seeing doing the yellow. I'm not. I mean, sunny day. And I know I have that color. That's the color they're recommending. I don't think so. I don't like that at all. If anything, maybe buttermilk, because I don't know if I'm liking that as well. So, let me switch to buttermilk. It's got more yellow in it. I'm just not seeing the whole yellow thing. I'm not. And they're pretty spot on with their, that's too much, their recommendations. They really are. But I do stray from time to time. And there's really not much of a difference between these two colors, to be honest with you. The bleach sand and the buttermilk. Okay. And the shading color they recommend is avocado. And that I can see. Personally, I think the light avocado would be a better choice, but I'm just gonna have to use less paint and really blend this, because that's a little bit darker than what I would really want. That's more of a solid line than what I would want. I'm gonna have to go back. Because there's not much difference between the avocado and light avocado. I just think you gotta really blend your paint. And I did not do a good job of blending my paint behind this, so I'm going to, I'm fussy. I'm gonna go over this. I don't like it. And I think I'm actually going to try the light avocado and see how that works. Because that's just a little bit too dark for me. I'm not the type of person that likes an in-your-face type of shading and highlighting. I don't like that. So that's not the way I like to do things. I think everything has to be a personal preference. I mean, personally, I'm into very subtle shading and highlighting. And see, to me, just by changing that, it's very subtle. And I like that way better. So I am using light avocado to shade. A way better color. And I don't think that I'm going to shade underneath this, because I think that'll just make it too dark. I will go and add another layer across behind where the bib is, but that's about it. I think I'll widen this float.
Jen,
Yeah.
I'm going to Eric's now.
Oh. Okay, honey.
All right. If we miss out on going out to eat, we'll just order a pizza or something.
That's fine.
I gotta get this fixed.
All right. Sorry about that. Okay. So this is where we're at. And I'm quite pleased with the way things are looking. It's very fall. It's very country. Let's continue on. I'm gonna do yellow ochre. For the one patch. And this is a little bit darker than the golden straw. Not a whole lot, but enough. And I think I'm gonna do I actually think I might do buttermilk. I thought about doing dark green. And here's the deal. If I don't like this, when it's all said and done, I can change the color. But I'm just trying to go with kind of like fall country colors. And I might change that, but it's just too, eh. I think what I'll change it to, I think I'm gonna just make it this really dark, dark green. Which is the avocado. Which is gonna take a million coats because I have that light color underneath. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm going to shade with some cocoa. I still gotta finish that on the outside of this. And I might need to switch to something a little bit darker. We'll see. But just to shade this, and it kind of changes the tint of that. I don't know how I feel about that green. That's a little bit better. I don't know. It might be too much green. I think I'll try some raw sienna to shade this stem of this pumpkin. And then I might have to go back with like some dark chocolate or just to darken it up a little bit. I think raw sienna would look nice on this yellow. And go over this with some milk chocolate. And then I'm gonna just hit the top of this with some buttermilk, really blended. This is gonna probably sound crazy, but I'm gonna hit this green with some of this yellow ochre. I don't know how I feel about that. I think like a darker blue would be better. And I probably will end up changing it. Okay, I think I'm gonna paint, since I have buttermilk out, I'm gonna paint these with buttermilk. That way they're bright and they stand out. It just stands out a little bit better. All right. Let's get these leaves painted. And like I said, I'm going to use the Hauser medium green. I'm going to do the Hauser greens because it's definitely different. It's a different shade and hue of green and will stand out against the celery green and the avocado. It's more, I think it's brighter. I have too much water on my brush. I need to paint those buttons. Now, any of the Hauser greens takes several coats. It just does. And I'm getting these in my square marks, so you want to kind of dig them out as quickly as you can. I'm just using this milk chocolate on the buttons. It's going to take several coats of this green. Okay. I'm going to use marigold on the sunflower. This is a great yellow, especially if you're painting sunflowers or anything fall and you're looking for a good yellow color. It's perfect with fall. Just really is. And then what I'll do is I'm just going to probably highlight just the tips only, just to brighten them up a little bit. The tips of the petal. And I think what we'll do, as far as the center goes, is I'll paint that. I'm gonna do asphaltum, because that's what I used for the shading on the hat, the darker part of it. And this is a good color brown for the center of the sunflower. That green is something else. Alright. Let's try and lighten up the tips of these petals. And it's fading pretty quick. Alright. Hopefully that green isn't going to be too crazy. Let me just see. I don't know. It's definitely a difference. Part of me kind of wants to change it. Because it's such a different shade of green. I'm going to change it now to light avocado. And I might even change it again to avocado. It's just, for me, it's standing out too much. The hues of the green are just too different. And I'm funny like that. Just how I see colors, I might see it differently than others. I don't know. I've been doing art ever since I've been a kid, and I'm really fussy about colors. Very fussy. And I don't even know if I like this. I like it a lot better. That's for sure. So just changing that color of green, it doesn't stand out as much in my opinion. It's everything kind of blends better. That's how I'm seeing it. So I'm gonna stick with that. And I'm just taking some asphaltum and lightly floating some shading at the bottom of these buttons. Just to change it up a little bit. Alright. Alright, I need to make sure that I have these the right way. Alright. So I'm going to do some highlighting and shading on these leaves. And I just want the highlight at the top, shading at the bottom. I'm going to use that celery green. And then I still have to decide what color I want the background to be. And I'm just kind of going where the hump is, the curve. And then I'm going to do the entire bottom. Of the leaf with the avocado for shading. And I might even darken it up with some black green. Because personally, I feel that this avocado has a lot of a blue cast to it. So I think I will try some black green and go pretty gentle. I personally just feel that this is a better shading color. And let that dry and hit it again. See if I can lighten up the top of these. See if I can maybe shade around here. It's not going to make that much of a difference. Do some raw sienna. Because what this will do is it'll darken it up around where the circle is, but then also too it will kind of create like an orangey cast as well. Okay. I think I'm going to shade a little bit of this asphaltum behind the stem as well, just to darken it up a little bit. And kind of go down the back side. It's kind of bizarre. I don't do the whole messenger calling, and I am not available. All right. I need to highlight this a little bit at the bottom. I have some buttermilk, so maybe I can get a little bit of highlighting. Brighten up these ends. It's very minimal, but all right. What is my time frame? I'm over 2 hours, and I still have the background and the lettering to paint. So I am gonna call it quits for today. I might, well, at least right now, I might come back on and finish this up. I think probably what I'll do is I'm probably going to paint the background antique white, okay, and then shade around it with cocoa, like I did the hot cocoa sign. And then I think I'm going to paint the lettering, the Hello Fall, the same color as the bibs, which is the Williamsburg blue. And then I'll dry brush some of that Payne's gray at the bottom to darken it up. That's what I'm thinking. So, I may or may not come back on. But I think this would look nice off of the antique white. Which, here's my sign. And this is the antique white. And I kind of think that just pops off of there. You know, it blends in, but it does pop. It goes. So I think that's what I'll go with. And then, like I said, I'm going to do the lettering, the Williamsburg blue, and then dry brush some Payne's gray. So I think that's what I'll do. So I'll probably finish this offline and then post a picture of the finished product. You never know, I might come back on. So I just need to take a little bit of a break. It's pretty hot. Someone's trying to get in touch with me, and I need to take care of that. So until then, take care. Bye-bye.